Nerds, welcome back to my channel. My name's Maddie. If you're new here, I hope your day is going well. A few months ago, someone made a comment to me that I'm a very analytical person. Now, this comment could be taken as a compliment or a insult, depending on who is delivering this particular observation. I am going to go out on a limb and assume that the person who said this to me did not mean it as an insult, because I am very analytical, especially when it comes to pieces of media that I consume, enjoy, exist in the grand scope of the world, and I do tend to overthink them, probably to my own detriment at times. Sometimes I get so overstimulated that I have to go nonverbal for a couple of days, and that does tend to cause people some concern. When it comes to chatting about media and storytelling, I do go ham. As you can tell, I have an entire YouTube channel about talking about my opinions and analyzing storytelling, mostly. I love taking apart a story brick by brick, word by word, and figuring out how it works, how it didn't work, most usually how it didn't work. At least in my opinion. While I've done this, I also have a very distinct attitude towards negative reviewing that I know other people are not comfortable with. I've always been more of a blunt, direct person, and I have no qualms about sharing my opinions with people. This usually doesn't go over well with people who don't understand the fact that, like, the YouTube algorithm likes negative content a lot more than it does positive. And so when people are like, do you like anything? And I'm like, absolutely yes, you just happened to click on the negative video. I think this says something about you more than it does about me. I also have a little bit of a masochistic streak, so I like reading bad things for fun. Like, that is something I actually do. I like reading really silly books and sharing my thoughts with them with people on the internet. Sorry, I pushed you. This does mean that writing my own stories is so difficult because I've read a lot of things that I think are really, really good, and I've also read a lot of things that are bad. And to write anything, you have to start over here. This is hard for me, as you could probably imagine. Always find more annoying than the "do you like anything" crowd is the people that say in my comments, it's just a book. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's fiction, so anything goes. I guess I should just stop reading anything critically because that's apparently for dumb heads. But I think we all know that's not gonna happen, right? Like, being able to both read and enjoy something while still being able to like understand that it has flaws isn't really that hard of an ask. And then also reading a book that has a lot of flaws and then talking about said flaws and how they affect the general environment that they live in isn't also a hard ask either, at least in my opinion. But let's put this whole thing into perspective. I was taught at a very young age how to read. I have been an avid reader my whole life. My entire family is avid readers. We also have a penchant to like to argue about things, specifically about storytelling. This was a very, very privileged upbringing. I am very aware of the fact that having a family that was so avidly interested in storytelling really gave me a way to find love for stories, and then also dissecting said stories was something I found quite enjoyable. In America, apparently adults start 12 books a year, and they only finish about 5. Contrast that with the fact that I've been semi-professionally reading for the past nearly a decade. I have probably read quite a bit more books than the average American at this stage. Sorry if you're not American. This is not relevant to, these statistics are not relevant to you. I will say reading 50 to 100 books a year, or the year I read over 200, isn't actually something I recommend. I've actually been really enjoying not reading as much recently and having other hobbies other than reading. That has been actually quite nice. I do think that that is something that I've been very happy about changing my habits about. But I've noticed something with these types of comments that have emerged, especially over the past year, that's really started to bother me. Way more so than when I was like just making a rant review every now and then about like the new Sarah J. Maas book or whatever. There's a very strong trend with books aimed at a certain target demographic where you're basically being told, turn your brain off and just enjoy it. These books tend to have incredibly toxic heteronormative relationships at their center, and then surrounding that relationship, there is usually very strange political narratives and stereotypes that are just not great. Typically speaking, the Fourth Wings and the Haunting Adelines of the world, if you catch my drift. These books are predominantly geared towards a feminine audience. And I will say my channel is as well. I've only ranted about like maybe 1 or 2 books geared towards a male audience, and I'm not doing that anytime soon because those comments get way more aggressive than anything I get on comments about my videos on Sarah J. Maas and all of the stuff she's done. I'm sure there's a correlation on that one, but I'm not unpacking that in this video. I'm protecting my peace right now. Especially after Fourth Wing became so popular, mostly just because of forced scarcity, not because it was really that well written. I saw a lot of people with this whole just enjoy it for being bad, turn your brain off, it's a good time, don't think about it. I am not in the band of like control what other people reads. Like, I do not care what you read at all. That's your prerogative, not my problem. And I'm not in the camp of banning books with sex in them or anything like that. I personally am a get down with your bad self type of girl. And if you want to read smut all day, in and out, whatever, Godspeed. That is up to you, my friend, this is not what I'm having a problem with whatsoever. But to kind of bring it back around to my experience as a reader, Romantasy was not where I became infatuated with reading. And that's why I think the trend of Romantasy has been something that I've found very grating. I very pretentiously got very invested into high fantasy through Game of Thrones and the Song of Ice and Fire, and I really like that high, very intense world building, and a lot of Romantasy just doesn't have that and doesn't care to, because the demographic was inspired by A Court of Thorns and Roses, which was a young adult book when it was published, and young adult books rarely, if ever, have that level of high stakes writing, unlike Six of Crows. Like that, just throwing it out there, that's a really good book series. I like things. Yeah. But I think we all know that hating on things that women like is very lucrative. Take the hatred towards Twilight, like better love story than Twilight. The rise of Romantasy and also dark romance seems to be very keyed into what was very popular when Twilight became this global phenomenon that it is today. And even Twilight is written in a way that it has personally more merit writing wise than a lot of the schlock that's coming out recently. But I definitely think there's a level of just kind of go with it, you know, and I'm not sure I understand the natural inclination people seem to have to doing the just go with it for every book that they read. The thing about these comments, though, that get me the most is the fact that they feel like a gotcha moment. Like someone telling me, oh, it's just a fiction book, so you can't be mad about it. Watch me! Like, here's the thing. Just because it's a fiction title, it doesn't remove it from the zeitgeist of morality. Fiction books and books in general have colored reality in myriads of ways since, I don't know, the first pen to page thousands of years ago. Now, don't get me wrong. Fourth Wing is not the second coming of the Bible. It's not going to have that much effect on people. But to say that books have no effect on the world around them seems a little bit small-minded to me in a lot of ways. Because the author of Haunting Adeline says she didn't mean to include right-wing conspiracy theories into her incredibly dark romance book, doesn't mean that there's any correlation with dark romance girlies finding a murderer with a Nazi tattoo on his face attractive. There's nothing there. You know, you can't directly say that that book may have led people down a line of romanticizing white supremacy, but I don't think it probably didn't help. Words, guys. So as this topic annoyed me more and more, I started looking into things regarding this kind of mentality of just shutting your brain off and not really looking into the grander picture of things when it comes to fiction. And I actually ended up finding a lot of information regarding the anti-intellectualism, specifically in the United States, over the course of the past nearly 100 years. In Richard Hofstadter's book, Anti-Intellectualism in American Life, he says, intellect, on the other hand, is the critical, creative, and contemplative side of the mind. Whereas intelligence seeks to grasp, manipulate, reorder, adjust, intellect, examine, ponders, wonders, theorizes, criticizes, imagines. Intelligence will seize the immediate meaning in a situation and evaluate it. Intellect evaluates evaluations and looks for the meanings of situations as a whole. Basically what I'm saying is, yes, you can assign a book. That's a label. You get a cookie, good job. But if you're going to reduce a book down to solely its physical properties, I think that there is just a short-sightedness to that. I just want to be clear, I've only gone this far into this book. I am not a proponent into saying that you have to read a bunch of dense books. This also came out in the 60s, by the way, so we're doing great over here in the United States, guys. But the thing about it is, I'm not very far into this book. It's very dense. I'm not saying that you can't not read, very fun, smutty little romances or your fun little dark romance or whatever. I'm not saying you can't read things. What I'm saying is it does tend to be a strange part of today's rhetoric where it's okay to just read things that are problematic or harmful without then pointing out the reasons why they're problematic and harmful. Like, I don't care if you rate Hunting Adeline 5 stars, but if you're not willing to even have a discussion about why other people might have issues with that book, and you're all like, Zayd is my book boyfriend, I've got concerns. Just saying. I think that the biggest thing about this whole topic that I fear the most is that women in this country are now monetarily supporting complacency in their own mindsets. And in a political climate where feminine people's rights are being taken away all the time, that's just something I'm not sure I'm comfortable with. To bring it back around, the person that made the comment to me about being very analytical was a woman. And I don't think she would have made that comment to a man if they were expressing their same opinions on a piece of media like I was. I just feel like there's a special kind of terror when people see femme-presenting personalities voicing analytical thoughts and theories, and that is a direct attack against white supremacy and patriarchy. So what it comes down to is I view myself as an intellectual solely from the definition of that I don't know anything for certain. I am not smart enough to say, I know for a fact this is wrong or this is right. I know for a fact that I don't know everything. That's the only thing that I know for certain. I just think that if I am describing my opinions and thoughts in a book and someone's reaction is to just go, a book is just a book, it leads me to believe they've just never thought outside the box ever. Because let's be real, books are magic and you can't tell me differently. I'm gonna go read about pirates and dragons now. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye! I did my outro a little too early. Hey, leave a skull emoji down below in the comments. If you like this video, give it a big like button, smash. I will be posting more videos on my Patreon, specifically rant review reading vlogs. And there is a video coming hopefully next week that is a follow-up to the most popular video on my channel. So catch that while you can, which it'll be here, but you could hit the subscribe button and you can hit the bell, and then you'll know exactly when it happens. So just saying. And I got my Discord and my TikTok and my Instagram and all of that shit linked down below. You want to be friends? If you want to chat about this, I would love to hear some people's thoughts. Yeah. My ring is itching my skin. Bye. Intelligence can be praised as a quality in animals. Intellect, being a unique manifestation of human dignity, is both praised and assailed as a quality in men. I'm probably going to delete that part.